and the prayer, and Darrell, Councilman Maple will lead the pledge, and then I will lead the prayer.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shall we bow our heads, please? Dear Lord, we just thank you that you are God. We thank you for all of our blessings. We thank you that we were born in this country where we can be free and say what we want to say and be able to make decisions that for ourselves, and we don't have those made for us. And we pray for each body that governs this country. We pray for the senators and the representatives, our president. They're looking at finances right now. We just pray they'll make right decisions. We pray for our state leaders as they are in session and they have lots of bills on the table. So we just pray that they would also have understanding and make good decisions. And we thank you for our commissioners as they are reorganizing. We just pray that they would make the good decisions that need to be made for Howard County. We thank you for the all of the different kinds of services that we have here. We just pray you'll continue to bless us with the money that we need to provide the services and keep our community safe and whole, and bless this council, because there's a big job here to be able to appropriate money in the right places and to not appropriate it when it doesn't need to be. And we just thank you that we are just such a great community, and we thank you for our families, for each one here, for each council member, and we just pray that your will be done. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Okay. So this is reorganization meeting. So we will call for anyone who wants to make a motion for council president.
Madam President, I nominate Councilman John Roberts to serve as our president this year.
Okay, are there any other nominations?
Need a second.
Well, we will. Okay, then if we had another one, then we would have two, okay? But now we just got one, right? There's no more. Okay, then we'll need a second to his motion.
I'll second.
Okay.
Madam President, I move nominations be closed.
Second? Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay, so it looks like, John,
We need a vote.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Madam President, I abstain.
Okay, so we have 5 that, or 6 counting you, 5 that counting you because I didn't vote, and 1 who abstained. So it looks like you're president. I got ahead of myself, okay? Now let's do vice president or president pro tem. Which one, Alan?
It's up to you. You can do either one. Statute says President Pro Tem. Robert's Rules of Order say President, Vice President.
So we've been doing vice president, so
If
do
you
we
want to
want
continue to
to?
do Vice President, it's essentially the same thing.
Okay, do we have any nominations for vice president?
Yes, Madam President, I nominate Councilman Darrell Maple for vice president.
Okay. Anybody else have a nomination? Then someone want to move that the nominations be closed?
So we need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay. And then we'll move the nominations. Okay,
Move
all in
nominations
favor,
be
all in
closed.
favor, say aye, right? And then,
You ready?
ready,
Aye.
Aye.
okay. Then the nominations will be closed. Which way did you want to do it, Frank?
Nominations be closed. All right, we
Okay.
got, so congratulations to Councilman John Roberts and to
And
Darrell.
Darrell Maple.
And thank you guys for willing to step up to that responsibility this year.
Okay, so now we will change seats here, okay?
And thank you to Councilwoman Martha Lake for her excellent leadership and knowledge in helping us get a good budget for fiscal year 2023. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, and thank you to the auditor's office and every council member who worked hard on that, okay? I appreciate that. So I will move, okay, Daryl, okay, if you want to move over here, Daryl will move there. Okay, and then I will move over and
Need a
Daryl,
little music.
yes,
Musical
dancing
chairs.
music, yes.
What would we play? Back home again in Indiana? Or help her? What music should we play? Oh, man.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, Daryl.
I think our first order of business will be to approve minutes from December's meeting. Are there any questions or corrections to our minutes?
I move to approve.
There are no corrections. I'd like to hear a nomination. Got one from Martha. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next order of business will be additional appropriations. Madam Auditor?
Ordinance number 2023-HCCO-1, additional appropriations. Whereas it has been determined that it is now necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the 2023 annual budget, now therefore be it ordained by the County Council of Howard County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. County General, Sheriff, Courthouse Lieutenant, $4,472. Stormwater Management Operation Fund, Contract Services, $96,823. Opioid Restricted Fund, Other Services and Charges, $703,523.61. Opioid Unrestricted Funds, Other Services and Charges, $170,602.30. 2023 Budget Amendments, County General, Sheriff, Contract Services Doctor, reduction of $586,756. Medical and Hospital Services, reduction of $150,000. Commissioners, Project Manager, $3,169. Human Resource Director, reduction $3,167. Lit Special Purpose Fund, Jail, Interim Sergeant, $32,275. Kinsey Shelter Care Program Director, $5,250. Caseworker, $5,749. Caseworker reduction, $38,323. Secretary Bookkeeper, $777. Assistant Director, reduction, $4,202. Nurse Supervisor, $788. Dietary Manager, reduction, $777. Kinsey Secure Detention, Caseworker, $1,050. Secretary Bookkeeper, $777. Assistant Director, reduction, $4,202. Nurse Supervisor, $788. Dietary Manager, reduction, $778. Lit Public Safety Fund, Contract Services Doctor, $586,756. Medical and Hospital, $150,000. Motor Vehicle Highway Fund, Foreman, $6,301. Crew Leaders, $4,200. ARP Grant Fund, Deputy Prosecutor, reduction $2,438. Total additional appropriation for all funds, $982,657.91.
Thank you. Hear from Sheriff Asher, please.
Good afternoon, everybody. How we doing? Everybody's got the snow shovels ready? I hope so. Anyways, I think the first item of business is the Sheriff General Fund Courthouse Lieutenant, $4,472. I think this is a little bit of carryover from the budget time. I think we talked about this at budget to where I have a lieutenant that's getting ready to retire at the end of this month. We've already replaced that lieutenant at the courthouse with a sergeant at the courthouse. So this, I believe, takes care of the lieutenant through the rest of the month and gets that done. I know we talked about it at budget session. I think this is kind of cleaning that up, basically. Was there something else? I'm trying to remember what else I was. Oh, down at County General Fund, Contract Services Doctor. So we're taking, and I know this was a budget item as well, $586,756 out of Doctor Contract Medical Hospital Services, $150,000, and then basically moving those to Lit Public Safety Fund 1170 for the same amounts. I think that also is cleaning up budget times as well.
Yeah, and you also have in the Lit 1114 fund about the interim sergeant.
Oh, interim sergeant. Now, I think that's another issue we talked about at budget time. So we have one sergeant that's been assigned to the military since last year. I don't think he will come back until later this year. We're anticipating coming back around August. So basically, we are trying to, we're not paying out his salary while he's gone, but we will be paying a salary from an interim sergeant while that gentleman's assigned to the military. So I think those might be the additional appropriations.
Okay. Are there any questions from the council? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Stormwater management, Greg Lake.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So what this is dealing with is in the Stormwater District, we deal with project-based contracts. So when I enter into a contract in 1 year, if the project isn't completed by the end of the year, that money that was for that previous year used to roll over until the contract was paid off and completed. We're cleaning up some processes, I guess. So that's why I'm here to get what I owe left on those contracts from last year to finish out those projects.
And this $96,000, did that roll over from last year?
In my mind, it should have, but it did not. So that's why I'm back for an appropriation.
Okay.
It was something that we had budgeted for, but just didn't get.
It was in my budget last year. It's kind of like I enter a contract for $1,000 today, and I only pay $500 out by the end of the year. I still owe that $500 for when the contract's done, but that's out of this year's money. So since that's no longer rolling, it's no longer encumbered, I have to come back for an appropriation to finish out those contracts.
Okay.
Do I understand that correctly, Madam Auditor?
So that was our understanding, that you couldn't, unless you have an invoice to pay it,
Right.
you cannot encumber the money.
Because I don't have an invoice, because the project's not done.
Yeah.
So I just have a contract that's signed that I've got to fulfill.
And is there just one contract, or are there others?
This particular, I have 3 contracts in this project. I have the sidewalk project, so we're looking at doing the sidewalks around this building and the courthouse. Where actually the Stormwater District is going to participate in those sidewalks. So how the rain garden looks with the porous pavers in the sidewalk on the other side of the street, we're going to try and do that type of same program around this building. We have the salt barn out at County Highway, so we're going to be paying for the design of that building. And I will be back at some point this year, once we have a design completed, for an actual additional appropriation to build that building. Because I did not budget for it. I don't know where we're going to shake out when it comes time, so I'll be back before you for that. And then the last item, the last contract is the IDEM changed the regulations when it comes to development. So we went away from Rule 5, erosion control permits, to a general permit. And that created some hiccups in my permitting system and how we handle paperwork in my office. So we've actually purchased a couple programs, and one of those programs is in this contractual services as well.
Okay.
Is that the same program that will work with Plan Commission?
No, that one, we actually received the invoice. Hopefully that wasn't me.
That was me.
We received that invoice in December, so I got that one paid.
okay.
I didn't have to come back for that one. But this one deals more with it's a smart spreadsheet. So all of the minimum control measures, there's 6 minimum control measures that we oversee and have different slots. This program will help hold that information for our annual audits.
Well, how many contracts did you say you have?
Just in this, I have 3.
3 contracts.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, opioid restricted fund?
Afternoon.
Afternoon.
Congratulations on your election, both of you.
Thank you.
Me too.
Thank you. A little nervous. Last time I appeared before the council was when I was coroner, and Mr. Miller was not easy on me. So I hope you're better, easier on me than he was. We're good. We were good buddies. Yep. I'm here to have you approve the appropriation of the first distribution of the opioid money from the state. That's my single thing I need today.
Yeah. And of course, that money comes from the state.
Right.
And we're going to hold it and distribute it as needed to
Right.
what entities? Turning Point, Family Service Association.
Valley of Grace, Iliad House. I can't remember them all. There we go.
Okay. Are there any questions from the council? Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Concerning the budget amendments, we heard from the sheriff on contract services and doctors and medical and hospital services. Now, is this, Madam Auditor, is this something that we need to call him back up for, or is this something that is just housekeeping?
This is the housekeeping. I think that our PAC meeting was too soon, and so some of these didn't make it through PAC, so we're always gonna have budget amendments in January.
Okay.
They were all PAC approved as well.
Okay. When she says PAC approved, that's the PAC committee that, of course, meets with the department heads and listens and decides what we think, and then instead of getting all the council members in on the meeting and dragging it out for a long, long time, we simply give her a recommendation. And these are all PAC approved. And is there any questions about anything?
I might volunteer something. We did, these were all talked about at the budget hearings, okay? But we couldn't vote on them because they were not, they had not gone through the PAC committee yet, and that was something that we had started requiring. So I believe the council, except our new member, asked for this, so now he has too.
Okay. If there are no questions, I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the additional appropriations as presented.
Second.
that.
We have a proper motion and second with Councilman Alexander and Councilman Faulkner. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item of business is the transfers. Madam Auditor?
Resolution number 2023 HCCR-1/transfers. Whereas the county council may approve the transfer of money from one major budget classification to another within a department or office if the transfer does not require the expenditure of more money than the total amount set out in the budget as finally determined, and if the transfer is approved at a regular public meeting and by the proper ordinance. Be it resolved by the County Council of Howard County that it is desired and deemed necessary that the following transfers be made within the accounts of designated funds as set out below. County General Fund Sheriff, Courthouse Sergeant to Courthouse Lieutenant, $3,171. County General Fund Weights and Measures, overtime to OSHA Uniform and Supplies, $750. Office supplies, $1,000. Travel and training, $900. Garage and motor repair, $1,000. Dues and subscriptions, $100. And on the overtime, it was a reduction of $3,750.
Thank you.
Well, hello again. So what now we're asking for is, again, back to my lieutenant, we can transfer some money to finish that out as well. So we're going to transfer out of the sergeant line item, $3,171, and put it into the courthouse lieutenant line item to finish that out as well.
Are there any questions? Thank you, Sheriff.
I got a couple of things to bring up in new business, so if I
Yes.
can do that later on, I'll do
Yes,
that as well.
thank you. Weights and Measures, Director?
He is not here. This was, during budgets, his overtime account was taken, and he was just reappropriating it to the following funds, to his office supplies, travel training, garage and motor, and dues and subscriptions.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions concerning the Weights and Measures transfer?
I guess I might add one comment. Joe met with us, I suppose it's the PAC committee, and kind of went through why he wanted to do this. And he wanted to take the overtime away and then add some more training to make sure, being that he was new, to get up to speed and make sure that we were in compliance as best as possible. So it made sense from the explanation that he gave to us.
Yeah, it certainly did.
And I think it was a budget ad hoc committee that did
Oh,
that.
that's what it
wasn't
was.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Martha.
He did not have any increase in money at all. It was just lateral.
If that's,
For a motion on this?
yes, sir.
I move we approve.
Is there a
Second.
second? It's been motioned and seconded by Councilman Faulkner and Councilman Maple. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next order of business will be salary ordinance amendments.
Salary ordinance number 2023-HCCO-2, salary ordinance amendments. An ordinance amending and increasing staffing and salary authorization to be paid county employees for the calendar year effective January 1, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, as originally approved for the year 2023, except where otherwise noted. Be it ordained by the County Council of Howard County, Indiana, that for the said fiscal year, the following salary amendments are approved as additional changes to the basic salary ordinance for the same fiscal year. Necessary personal service appropriations have been approved previously to support the required expenditure of necessary funds. County General Fund Sheriff, Courthouse Sergeant, reduction $3,171. Courthouse Lieutenant, $7,643. Commissioners, Project Manager, $3,169. Human Resource Director, reduction $3,167. Weights and Measures Overtime, reduction $3,750. Lit Special Purpose Fund, Jail, Interim Sergeant, $32,275. Kenzie, Shelter Care Program Director, $5,250. Caseworker, $5,749. Caseworker, reduction, $38,323. Secretary Bookkeeper, $777. Assistant Director, reduction, $4,202. Nurse Supervisor, $788. Dietary Manager, reduction, $777. Kenzie Secure Detention, Caseworker, $1,050. Secretary Bookkeeper, $777. Assistant Director, reduction, $4,202. Nurse Supervisor, $788. Dietary Manager, reduction, $778. Motor Vehicle Highway Fund, Foreman, $6,301. Crew Leaders, $4,200. Prosecutor, Title 40 Incentive Fund. Criminal Law Enforcement Clerk 1, $2,486. Criminal Law Enforcement Clerk 2, reduction $1,243. Criminal Law Enforcement Clerk 3, reduction $1,243. ARP Grant Fund, $2,438.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. Are there any questions concerning the salary ordinance amendments? I'd entertain a motion.
Move we approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been properly made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next order of business will be, is there any old business to address? Is there any new business to address? And, yes,
Andrew.
this is the Howard County Public Defender, Mr. Andrew Badenbush.
Brandon Bosch.
Vanden Bosch. Thank you.
The proposed appropriation ordinance authorizing the chief public defender to use the funds existing in the Supplemental Public Defender Services Fund, the fund set up by statute to assist the Public Defender's Office in paying for additional expenditures to provide additional services to defendants, whether it be court reporter, transcript fees or copying fees or deposition costs or other expenses that the public defenders may run into from time to time in representing their clients, as well as office expenses and education, continuing education expenses. And it has been used as well to supplement the office expenses for the public defenders that they're incurring working from out of their private offices, but only to the extent of about $2,000 annually for office expense. The rest of it is used for copying expenses. Sometimes we have to pay for an interpreter outside the courtroom for assistance with the public defenders communicating with their clients. But something that we've brought before the council, I know for probably at least 8 to 10 years, but for the last several years, each year bringing this appropriation ordinance authorizing the public defender to use those funds.
Do you know how much is in that fund right now?
I can't tell you an exact number off the top of my head. I know towards the end of the year, there was roughly $80,000 in the fund, but we purchased a lot of copy paper files and file folders that we distributed to all the public defenders, which ate up probably a third of that. But it kind of fluctuates depending on how the defendants are paying in. They're ordered to pay in typically anywhere from $100 to $300 at the conclusion of their case, depending on their ability to pay. And so the account fluctuates, but we don't have the highest rate of success in collecting all that from a lot of the defendants.
And this is an annual appropriation.
Correct.
You come every January
Correct.
and inform us. Okay. Is there any questions from the council?
Yeah, this is a general question, not specifically about this, but in your business as a public defender or supervisor of public defenders, is there anything that prohibits lawyers from using things like PDF files and going to more electronic documentation than doing 6 or 7 or 10 copies on paper? So, in general, I'm asking, is there a trend to go to electronic PDF files?
Well, we are doing electronic filing with the court, so that reduces a lot of the paper. Our paper requirements have went down significantly when the courts went to electronic filing. And there are, I want to say, maybe a half a dozen of the public defenders who have gone 100% electronic and aren't using any paper. And there are some that.
Is that hard to get to that point, or is that
Well,
good?
some are more technologically advanced than others in their ability to make that transfer.
See Mr. Buckley over there.
But there is
So-
still a need, though, because we run into last minute where you're filing in open court and you have to have a actual document to submit. So we still do have the need for some paper, but we're trying to reduce that as much as we can and trying, the prosecutor's office is providing a lot more to us electronically now than they used to do. And then we can get that to our clients in the same electronic format where before it was all going out in paper. And we're doing a lot more with email and text messaging, believe it or not, as opposed to sending out letters repeatedly to all the clients, which cuts down on the postage and the paper and the envelopes. We're trying to cut those costs as we
So the
go.
trend is going more
I
that
think
way.
as we get more younger ones through and the older ones retire, you'll see even a bigger trend that way.
Okay,
So
thank
you
you.
text.
There are some attorneys that primarily communicate through text.
Yeah. Isn't that something? Okay. Amazing. Okay, is there any questions?
I have another one. The state legislators are looking at we would get reimbursement for the misdemeanors. Have you been watching that
I have been
legislation?
watching it. I haven't, they've been talking about it for a long
I
time.
know they have.
And it looks like they keep getting closer and closer, but I haven't, until I see it happen, that's a lot of money for the state to reimburse and for additional expense to the county, because with that reimbursement comes the requirement that we meet those caseload standards. We have
That's
two
what I wondered.
misdemeanor public defenders. They're each doing almost the caseload of 2 people. So in order to comply to get the reimbursement, then we would have to have at least 1, if not 2 more public defenders to do the same amount of work. So it's kind of a mixed bag to get reimbursement for the misdemeanors.
Do you support it or?
I'm kind of neutral. I think either the current system's working and it's not costing the county any more money to have the two work a little harder. But it would certainly provide theoretically better service to the clients if they're doing half as much caseload as they have now. They will be able to spend more time on the other half of their caseload.
So it's kind of a, yeah.
Luckily, we have a very reasonable and forgiving judge handling the misdemeanor cases, which makes it all work. If someone came in and took a much harder stance in that courtroom, it would create a real problem for us to be able to accommodate that with just two public defenders.
Thank you, that's good to know.
So, this is to you, Mr. President. Are we authorizing any certain amount of money, or are we just saying this fund is available for them to use as they need it, or what's the action that we're doing here?
I think in the past, it's always been the fund is available for us to use as we need it.
Okay.
I think we sign off on it as being right and proper, and he can pull from, his office can pull from that fund as needed.
I got it.
And the purposes are enumerated by statute, so we're not taking everyone out for drinks and.
You're not?
No,
What fund is that in?
I don't have one of those funds.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you very much. And we'll pass this around and sign
You
it.
need a motion on that?
Yeah.
Do you need a motion on that, sir?
Yeah, I guess we do. Well, you've heard what he said, and there's no more questions. I'll entertain a motion to pass the appropriation ordinance number 2023 for the Public Defender's Office.
So moved.
Does it have another number? Is it 2023? I think
I see 2023 HCCO.
there should be.
I'm sorry?
Looks like it would be number 3, but
Yeah,
That's missing off the,
okay. Is it 5? You'd have to give me my number, yeah.
It's 2023-HCCO-5.
-5. Thank you. Motion's been properly made and seconded by Councilman Maple and Councilman Faulkner. All those in favor?
All right.
Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. And continuing new business, we have the sheriff again.
And Mr. Cuthbert, I do want to say thank you for taking a visit to the jail last week. So we invited him out as we've done pretty much everybody else too. So we popped out last Thursday and took a tour and got an earful for a couple hours. So I'm sure you slept well that evening, because it's like taking a sip from a fire hose. But I appreciate you coming in and doing that. So this is something I brought up at the PAC meeting, whether I can speak to that or not. But back in July 28th of 2020, we approached the council for lateral sign-on bonuses. We're basically trying to keep up with the other drafts that are going on within law enforcement, being a company or an agency that tries to obtain the best law enforcement officers we can get. So July 28, 2020, we got approval for $5,000 lateral bonus for deputy sheriffs that would come from another agency, obviously in good standing, already been through the law enforcement academy. We obviously want to continue to do that as well. But what we're also up against is the same kind of situation with corrections and dispatch. So there are some other agencies putting a lot of money out towards recruiting lateral transfers as well. So we are trying to obviously keep up with that and get the best hires that we can possibly do as well. So we're looking at both for patrol and dispatch and corrections to use commissary money for lateral bonuses there. So $5,000 for a deputy, $2,500 for dispatch and the jail. So I believe I got a favorable nod from the PAC committee. Like I said, whether we can talk about that yet or not. So that is something I would like to do. Obviously, for some of you know, some of you don't, commissary statute is specific on what we can spend that money for. There's 9 different stipulations, as any other statute. Number 9 is exigent circumstances, anything that we deem necessary that it's agreed upon with the council and the sheriff to spend that money on. And I think this is a good expenditure for us to pay out of that to help ourselves out, so.
Do you have anybody lined up, or is it just to be in your pocket when you need it?
We got some people we're talking to, so yes. A dispatcher that just came back was working for us, and she left to go to another agency. She did come back to us, so we're looking at helping her out as far as a dispatch. Then we're also looking at patrol officers too, so, yeah. Got to stay up, got to stay up.
Sheriff, I have a question. So
Yes.
my understanding is that we've had some fairly high rate of turnover in dispatch.
Yeah.
So what would be the procedure for making sure that we don't give this bonus to someone and then 3 months later, they're gone?
Well, I think we would obviously have to be in control of that. We're not necessarily looking for somebody to leave and then turn around 3 months and come back, but they would have to leave and then maybe go to another dispatch, and then that's not who we're necessarily looking for. We're looking for people that are at another dispatch that possibly want to come to us. It was just in a unique situation with this particular dispatcher that was gone, I want to say at least over a year before coming back to the sheriff's office. So, I mean, that's a possibility, but I don't think we're wanting to do this. Obviously, it's up to us whether we issue this lateral bonus out or not. I don't want somebody to leave for a month and go, hey, I'll come back and I want to get the bonus now. Well, that's not necessarily going to be the case. So,
What's in place? Let's say that you do give the 5,000. Is there a term that they have to stay in order to not have to pay it back?
For a patrol deputy, we make them sign a contract for 3 years that they would do that. So we have not toyed around with that with dispatch and corrections just at the moment, but that's what we do for a patrol officer to receive that sign-on bonus.
Makes sense.
Trying to still protect them the best we can, so.
I think I would like to see something like that for the
Sure.
dispatch and the
Yeah.
COs.
I think we can do that.
Hey,
They obviously have to go through their training, and they have to go through their field training and be here at least 90 days before we would ever give them to them anyways. It's not like they walk in the door day one, here's your $2,500 check, and then they walk out day 3. They have to go through our training and be on their own and officially trained before we actually do this as well, so.
So it's a couple months down the road after.
Yeah,
you
it'd
sign
be
on.
several months, obviously, before they ever would receive this. They'd have to go through our field training first.
Derek, do you need a motion from the council in order to, since we're working together on this? Or is it something?
I think we obviously have to be mutually agreed upon. I would think if we can get it into the records and receive a motion, I think I would love that.
Can we do that on new business? I can entertain a motion. Would you like to make a motion, Martha?
I move that we approve this sign-on bonus for the deputies, and then I
Corrections
believe
and
that you're
dispatch.
coming back with more guidelines for the dispatchers and the corrections officers. So under those circumstances, I move we approve it. Yes.
And would that include the funds coming from the commissary fund, of course, right?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Is that the only source of funds that you could use for the bonuses, or?
Well, I could surely put it in my budget for next year. I would love to do that. But as of this moment, this is the only place I have to pay this out of. But obviously, if we want to put it in the budget for 2024, that would be the only other way to put it in a line item in our budget to do this. What we do is take this money, what we had done in the past, we've done this 3 times in the past, a couple of years ago. We took commissary money, put it in specialty pay, and then paid it out of that. Obviously, I need to get approval for us to be able to do such a thing, and then I would have to come back another time to physically or change and move the money, appropriate the money there, so.
Eric, do you
So I would
wanna
come back next
explain
month
the
and do that.
commissary fund, because normally that's your money.
Correct.
that
It is.
you use, right, and it's not anything that we normally appropriate for you.
Yes,
Yeah,
no,
so-
it is not something that is appropriated. So this funds as far as the phone service that we have at the sheriff's office, the food and those kind of snacks that are through the commissary. That's how we gain money in that. We would have had normally I try to every month give you guys a listing of what it is. That got lost in translation, and I didn't grab it to bring it this afternoon, so I will bring that next month. We're required by statute to do it 2 times a year, in June and December. I try to do it a little bit more transparently and try to do it every month, so you can see what money is coming in, what money's going out, what we spent that money for. But that's what commissary is for. It's controlled for it's controlled by the sheriff to use for equipment. Like I said, there's 9 different stipulations. Number 9 is anything that's mutually agreed upon between the council and myself. A lot of other things are for training purposes, for equipment, for clothing, and those kind of things. So we have to go by State Board of Accounts, which we do get audited for this account by them to show where that money is going, and we spend it appropriately as well. So
So this question might be a little bit from left field, but would there
with
be
Frank,
any,
with you, I'm used to this,
All
so
right.
that is not an issue.
would there be any, like administrative positions in the sheriff's department that you would say, you know, it's really important to get this person, he or she has skill sets that we need in this administrative position? It's not specifically jail dispatch or deputies, but you know what, to get that person, it'd be good to be able to have a bonus. Do you restrict yourself by saying the bonuses are only for deputies, dispatch, and jail? I don't know how many other administrative positions you have, but I'm thinking you might have a few. And so I was curious whether it would make sense to say it could be any position in the jail or the sheriff's department system overall that you could use bonuses for.
The only people this would exclude out, so most of my employees are either correctional officers, dispatchers, or patrol deputies. The only other employees we would have are in the kitchen and then our clerical staff, but this covers the majority of the folks. I don't know that at this point I would ever want to expand that to other positions. If we had a clerical person and we brought them on as a lateral transfer, that is outside of my bailiwick, and I don't know that I would want to do such a thing. So
Okay, I just asked.
what I would ask the county council to do at budget time is let's keeping those pay rates high, and then we will keep all the employees, and we won't have to worry about asking for laterals to come in. We'll keep who we have currently. That would be much better. Martha, that was just a little dig to try to see with
right.
budget.
Never
I'm just
hurts to
priming you guys for budget. I'm just
Never
priming you
hurts
for
to
budget time. Just priming.
Okay.
I have one more issue that I want to talk about. I don't know if you
go
probably,
ahead.
I would say if you would approve that, if you can, to do that. I have a second issue I want to do out of commissary as well.
Okay, we'll go ahead and, we have a motion made by Councilwoman Martha Lake. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second, and the motion is, just to reaffirm it,
It is.
that we are allowing the sheriff to use funds from the commissary fund
Yes,
as an incentive program to offer up to $5,000 for a merit officer, deputy, and up to $2,500 for a correctional officer and a dispatch officer in a lateral hiring to attract more applicants to the department. And I think that's it. Is that
Mr.
right?
President, I think I also heard in Councilwoman Lake's motion that would be with the stipulation that the sheriff comes back with more details as far as similar to the one with the deputies who they have to stay for 3 years. I'm not saying these people have to stay for 3 years, but some sort of a detail along those lines.
Thank you very much. I stand corrected. Do I hear a second? We have a second with Councilman Tim Cuthbert. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Sheriff.
Mr. Alexander, we already have a standard operating procedure for a patrol deputy for lateral bonuses, correction, and for dispatch as well. I can put a little bit of a caveat. We'll have to work that amongst my administration to figure out what we want to do. Like I said, the 3 years seems to be the going thing for a patrol officer to do. I don't know that I would want to do that for a correctional staff or a 911 operator, but we'll come up with some kind of stipulation and then just email everybody out the SOPs. That way it already spells everything out, and we'll have that on record as well. Last thing I would love to do is nothing I would talk to PAC. We kind of just, over the last week, I say, is cleaning staff. So at the sheriff's office, normally we would use correctional inmates for our cleaning of our administrative side of the building. Something we had talked about probably as long as I can remember is about getting somebody else to come in and do that instead of using inmates on our administrative side of the building. I'm not talking everything locked down in the other side into the jail and the secure side of the facility. That is done by correctional inmates, so that's not an issue. It's on the admin side. So over the years, we obviously have sensitive information that we have laying out that we got to kind of wiggle around with some of the inmate workers that we have come over. Also, the hiring pool, oddly enough, is a little bit harder to get some people with lower level, because most of the people we have in our facility are felons that are of a high level. So we obviously have to get people on a lower level. We don't hardly keep any misdemeanors anymore, so that kind of has been taken away from the mix, which I have no problem with that. Work release, we knew that was going to be a little bit of a hindrance. Great to have people on work release because that's a great place for those folks to be. It's just those are, our, so to speak, our hiring pool for admin workers. Our road crew, we've been down a few road crew workers over the time period. I actually went out and mowed over last summer because it was just me and my road crew supervisor mowing because we were down some road crew. We normally have 6 people. I think we've had 3 right now for about the last several months. So mowing season's getting ready to crank off again. So that's something that we'll have to mess with. So what I want to do is actually hire a company, and we've talked to a couple of different companies about coming in and cleaning the admin side of the building. So we plan on doing this just to see how this thing works. I want to take this money out of commissary as well. So I guess I'm not asking for any amount of money that we need to switch anywhere, but just mutually agreed upon for us to do that. We're going to see how this goes. If it works well, then maybe budget time I'll come back and we'll see how it goes, and maybe I can add this to a contract services, but it's a little bit late obviously now. So we'll review this over the next month, and when I come in July or submit my budget in July, we'll see how it goes. And then obviously if this is something we want to do, maybe we need to add this to contract services to do this. And I think that's kind of the way I would like to take care of it. But obviously I need to come to you to get it mutually agreed upon for me to take it out of commissary to do that. So looking, this kind of depends on what company we go with. We've already interviewed a couple. They've been out waiting for some figures to come back to see exactly what it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be anything astronomical to do that, but we'll see what it is. And I just like the permission to be able to take care of that. If it goes well, we'll see at budget time, and we'll go from there.
So how often would you say those offices are clean? Once a week? More than that?
Normally, we would clean our own offices. I don't let the inmate worker into my office, maybe come in and grab trash and move on. So they don't normally come into offices, but they are an open space. Back in the squad room, we keep sometimes sensitive information. back in our detective division, we obviously keep sensitive information. Dispatch is another area that's a little bit sensitive that we don't want people just kind of floating through. So right now, the admin worker would come over 5 days a week, normally just a few hours in the morning, and then we take them back after lunch, and that's the end of it. So 5 days a week, I don't think we're going to have a cleaning company come in 5 days a week. We'll just have to adjust the schedule and how it's going to be best to work for us. And the lobby is a big area of high traffic, so we obviously want that lobby to look as good as we possibly can. So that's a focus on our part. But as far as the office, like my personal office, I don't, inmate worker does not come in my office. I will tidy up myself some days. Yes.
Okay, have you talked to Bill in maintenance, because in that 1114 fund, in the lit special purpose fund, there's like your jail operation and the Kinsey Center operation and all your benefits, and then there is a special budget for maintenance as well. Would that be something that you might want to talk to Bill about?
I think I can. I said we obviously haven't had a chance to speak over the last week or so, and probably with snow and things, we probably won't be able to do that for a few more days. Maybe I'll try to talk to him next week. I scoured through my funds that I have access to and don't see where I can pull from one of those, but I have not talked to Bill Stonestreet to take care of that. We have two maintenance gentlemen that work for Bill for the county that come into our maintenance, but they're not there to be cleaning. They are physically doing HVAC and electrical and plumbing and all that stuff while they're there, not to clean. So,
well, and this
but
fund,
yes,
yeah, is the same fund that we pay the jail operation out of, so it's
Yep.
slim, as you know. Okay, so, but I don't know if he has any appropriations or any money available in his.
and that's a possibility. Maybe we can share it. If I still get approval from you to use commissary money for this, I will definitely talk to Bill and see if we can share that load maybe, and that would help out as well. So I will definitely be talking to Mr. Stonestreet after this.
Okay. Are there any questions? Any other questions? I suppose, Alan, would we need to make a motion on this?
Yeah, I would say so. I think you need to.
Okay, and give them our blessing?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, I move we approve this.
Okay.
I don't know if I can make it more precise, but, you know, he's looking to use contract cleaning services.
And he wants to use the commissary funds to use the outside janitorial service to experiment and see if he can find a combination of getting his offices cleaned safely and securely.
Yeah,
And
and
without
it's
use
the
of-
security thing.
It's
Yeah.
sometimes a security issue, yes.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Motion's been properly made and seconded by Councilman Bergner and Councilman Alexander. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes.
Thank you for your suggestion too, by the way.
And one more
Wait,
question, do you
okay.
have in mind a company that, because I know that you have very secure information in that part of your operation, so we want a company that you know would be
Yes.
discreet.
So we're going to be very picky on who we look at to do that. So absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Now we're done.
Thank you. Is there any other council business to discuss? If there is not, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion, meeting adjourned.